Hello again, I'm Tripp Rogers, and this is Tripp's Take. Well, the Kentucky Derby has been won. Sovereignty is the winner, and Sovereignty is going to skip the Preakness Stakes, which means the last 20 Triple Crown races will have 20 different winners. Only 2 horses from the Kentucky Derby are going to run in the Preakness. And it's time to renew that long-time discussion. Do they need to change the schedule for the Triple Crown? We'll have no Triple Crown winner once again this year, and we get a couple of them in quick succession, but it is a grueling schedule for horses, and trainers look to maximize their stud values, so therefore they're not going to run them. And again, running the Preakness 2 weeks after the Kentucky Derby, and then 3 weeks later, you have the Belmont Stakes. Maybe it comes time for something that Don Chevrier had been talking about, and I always go back to this every time we talk about the Triple Crown, because I had a chance to talk to Don because he was on the radio coverage in the early 2000s, and we would talk about this every single time, and he'd say the same thing: shorten the races and stretch the schedule out. And I think he's right, because listen, if this is the best of racing, and the Triple Crown races are the best, they're all on free TV, they're all highlighted, I think, there's something to be said. And when you have a horse pull out because they don't want to run, that shows me that there may be some validity to that thinking. Now, I understand tradition. I get it. I'm not saying blow up the Triple Crown races. But the problem is you're asking a horse to go 3 races over the course of 6 weeks. And that is a grueling racing schedule. Most times horses will run, I want to say once every 3 weeks, once every 4 weeks. And to have to amp that up, I mean, special horses win the Triple Crown, don't get me wrong, and they're legendary. But you still have to wonder whether or not they need to really think about this, especially given the fact the ratings have just been awful for the Belmont Stakes, because really, if there's no Triple Crown, nobody really wants to watch it. And while the ratings for the Kentucky Derby were a little better this year, I mean, it's still not what it used to be. And I think that's something that horse racing, the people who run horse racing, have to address, because it's excitement. It's fan excitement. And right now they don't have the fan excitement. Do people tune into the Breeders' Cup? Well, yeah, they do. But again, that is not the Triple Crown. The Triple Crown, we have had these races run for many years. Kentucky Derby, 151 runnings of the Kentucky Derby. Preakness Stakes is over 100. And the Belmont Stakes is over 100 too. I just think we've got to do something about this, and they need to make some changes. I don't know what the answers are, but the Triple Crown races to continue as it is somewhat not good. All right, something else I want to talk about. The Bill Bellichick and his girlfriend, Jordan Hudson, this has been a story that's flown around. And I think the thing that kind of bothers me about this is Bill Bellichick, who I will never disrespect, because Bill Bellichick was the Giants' defensive coordinator for their first 2 Super Bowl championships. So I will always have a special spot in my heart for him. And I think he is on the Mount Rushmore of NFL coaches, along with Vince Lombardi, Don Shula, and Tom Landry. There, I've gone and said it. George Halas, yes, he was one of the first owners of the league, and he deserves mention there. And Bill Parcells, too. I think Parcells, what did he do? He won everywhere he went, and I think that's one of the things that really kind of cements that, although he did not win the Super Bowl except when he was with the Giants, he made appearances there and he got close. But he never did that. But I think Parcells one of the top coaches, and he would be maybe on the mountain next to it with smaller faces. But yeah, go back to Bellichick. He has had this persona over the years, being in charge, my way or the highway. And yet, he has his 24-year-old girlfriend calling the shots. And listen, I understand she is doing PR for him. But, he's got to know what's going on. And to not know displays, it's a big problem. Some people in the media have called it elder abuse. They think that she's abusing him. I don't think that. Bill Belichick's not getting abused. But the problem is when you have someone who people question your relationship and listen, I will be perfectly honest with you. I'll be 66 in June. I have had conversations with 24-year-olds and 20s and women in their 20s. But there's not the same level. And I even felt that way many years ago because there's a maturity level that women reach when they're in their 30s. And of course, I also go to I abide by that rule of half your age plus 7, and that's the acceptable dating age you've got. So that puts me at 40, which I guess works true. But not that I'm looking to date anybody, but I'm just, passing that along. I think the thing that is somewhat shocking, and, listen, every guy wants a younger woman. I mean, let's be realistic. Everybody thinks about that. But, doesn't happen. And sometimes if it does, it happens for the wrong reasons. So the question I have is Jordan Hudson in this for Bill Belichick, or is Jordan Hudson in this for her own gains? She's going to be competing in Miss Maine, so that'll bring the circus to town. And she is front and center at the University of North Carolina. I don't know. This story kind of bothers me. And I just kind of wonder where it's going to go. And I just kind of wonder if Bill Belichick really understands the damage that is being done to his brand by letting a 24-year-old run his social media and run his life. I mean, there's no other way to put this nicely. You got to say it, though. That is Tripp's Take for May the 8th, 2025. Comments and questions, always available. trippstake@gmail.com. My buddy Mike Sheck and I do the Fantasy Sultans podcast, which you can find on the same spots you find Tripp's Take. That is Spotify for Creators and YouTube. Just search for Fantasy Sultans. The Hall of Famer and I will be back with a new season coming up in August as we get closer to fantasy football time. Like the music of the 60s, 70s, and 80s, give a listen to WTRSradio.com. Thank you for joining me. For now, I'm Tripp Rogers. Make it a great one.